Yo, what's up, boys? Today I'm gonna bring another controversial video. Um, Let me tell you something. You probably read the title and all that, but dude, I just kept watching this video and I kept getting fucking pissed and fuming. Basically, I used to be an AsmonGold fan. L- in politics. Here in United States of America. I started diving in like a couple of years ago, probably two or three. And the more and more I go into it, or the more I hear about it, the more I do my research, the more I get fucking pissed. And especially with this term, I'm getting like, it's just too much every fucking day, every week. We all know Trump is like, he does like he pops the news every day almost. It's kind of exhausting. Let me tell you a little bit of my perspective and my thoughts. But basically, I used to listen to Asmongold when the left was going way too far to the left, and they were censoring stuff on Facebook, they were censoring stuff on Twitter, they were blocking people, fucking, you know, what's ghost banning people where no one would see their shit, and I thought that was fucked. I thought as a American, as a United States of America, our amendment is for the freedom of speech, and all that shit was being censored and revoked. So it's kind of defeating the purpose of itself. Um, Now I think this shit's gone a little crazy. I was in favor of Trump. Okay, I was a fan of Trump, and now I'm starting to doubt after what happened today. And also, I've been watching Asmongold, and I was a fan of Asmongold, and I'm sure a lot of people were. But now this shit's getting too crazy, bro. I know with Trump terms that things get a little bit more racist. People, not specifically, but people start being more aggressive and more racist and talking more shit. And I kind of expected that, and I was like, oh, that's fine. Talk shit and all that. I used to be a fan of Asmongold, but then he went too far to the right. Now he's a fucking complete fucking idiot, brother. Like, I'm done fucking listening to all these people who aren't part of the working class, who are just streamers, who eat fucking McDonald's every day. This fucking piece of shit can't even fucking cut his hair, or fucking shower once a day, maybe even twice a day. I don't even think he showers more than once a week, dude. Um, I mean, you can already see how fumed I am, but let's just check it out. Let's react to it a little bit. He posted a video today. Trump ended birthright citizenship. And if you guys don't know, I had to fucking chat GPT this because, I'm not a fucking major in politics. I'm not, the smartest tool in the shed. And I'm pretty sure that's like fucking, 60, 70, 80% of all beings here in fucking United States of America. I mean, if you point at a map, we're probably not gonna know, the cities in other fucking countries, you know? We're not that smart. Our education system is kind of fucked. Um, but I love America. I love United States of America. I love Trump. I hate some of the things that he's done. There's a lot of things that he says, but I kind of just figured that, like they're just talking shit. Um, but we need like a certain point where the right and the left have to kind of meet closer to the middle because this shit is getting crazy, brother. So yeah, Trump ended citizenship, right? Birthright citizenship. That's what they said. I had to chat GPT it to explain it in simple terms, and basically, there's a lot of states or uh, courts that were not agreeing with this. And this is what he signed as soon as he became president, and it's a amendment, and it's a constitutional right for everyone who's born here, and basically, he's trying to get rid of that. Trump is trying to get rid of that, but basically, he just made it so small courts can't stop the process of his whatever he wants to sign or do. And I think that's pretty good, for the most part. But I believe that, what he's going to do next or planning to do next is kind of crazy. So basically, any state or, yeah, basically any state where there was no court ruling that was opposed of this will start being implemented on that. So places like Texas, right? Texas did not have a they didn't they did agree with this. So basically, Trump is gonna start implementing that into Texas. So basically, anyone born in Texas cannot have citizenship, and maybe even outright, depending on the time or age of the baby, they'll be revoked of their citizenship. Something like that, you know. They could go in both ways. We'll see. Still has to be passed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's kind of gonna have to vote on if he can do that or not. But that's one of the things he can do. And with the small courts not stopping this process, then he can move it faster, basically. For the people who are not as educated, like me, or working class, you know, basically fucking 80% of us. Let's watch, dude. This shit is fucking infuriating, dude. It fucking pisses me off. Okay.
I'll pull up and show you guys what they said about this, because this is in my opinion, a total victory. Massive fucking victory.
Now, with the title of the video, you know, he says this, and, you know, it could insinuate that he's saying that with the citizenship birthright, which I just gotta say, dude, I'm fucking pissed, dude. He's a fucking idiot just by saying that shit. I mean, dude, fuck, man, he fucking just rage baits me. Or, you know, he could also say that, oh, I'm just saying that because small courts shouldn't have to say in fucking, you know, stopping whatever the House wants to do right now. You know, that's something he could do. But
delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law, in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done.
Yep.
And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president.
And I think this is another component, is that if you take a step back and you think about it, doesn't it seem problematic that one judge in one area can overrule the entire, like, popular vote of the presidential election? Like, this seems like a very obvious power imbalance.
Yeah, and I agree with that, you know. You know, things would go faster. The president could make more decisions and implement what they're promising the people. For the most part, he's right about that, you know. I won't give a shit about that. I'm trying to see if I can fucking double speed this, because, oh my god, dude, this guy.
Clearly, it should not work that way.
Stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the...
That's why I think it's funny, is all these people said Trump was a threat to democracy, but in fact they were. This is the biggest threat to democracy you can have. When you have a democratic election and then the person that wins tries to implement the policies that they ran on, and they constantly get handicapped.
I agree with that. For the most part, I agree with that. That's completely
cases
fine.
Before them, these judges attempted to dictate the law for the entire...
What I do not agree with is fucking, you know, trying to remove a fucking amendment. You know, what's next? Fucking, the president could just vote off the fucking freedom of speech and take our guns. You know, our right to bear arms. You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Nation. Yep. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States.
So 700 judges, you know, I think 36 did not agree with it or something like that.
He or she could block that policy from going into effect, or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system.
Yeah, and it would delay it, and the president wouldn't be able to keep the promises that they made.
That's clearly what happened.
This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades, and we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century.
Wow.
Together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision. And
can we just fucking acknowledge AsmonGold, you know, just shaking his eyebrow? Jesus, bro, this guy's fucking gotten such a downturn, brother. He used to be for the people, you know, like freedom of speech and all this shit. Now he's, yikes.
And thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
Look how happy he is, bro. Shit.
This was...
I've been waiting on this for a while. I've been waiting on this for a long time.
What a fucking asshole, brother. I mean, he's just praying for his housekeeper to fucking be deported immediately. Like, dude, this guy does not fucking clean his own place, you know?
Oh.
In fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious.
And okay, yeah, I agree with it, you know? It was placed a long time ago for a different reason. My counter argument is, you know, a lot of Hispanics, a lot of immigrants who are not fucking doing drug trade and all that shit, which is the majority, they're modern day fucking slaves, you know? There's a lot of immigrants that come here, work their whole lives up, you know, put their kids to school, pay taxes, they do the normal shit, don't get the fucking benefits, you know, they clean this guy's fucking ass and all his fucking toilet shit smeared all over his fucking bathroom. You know, it's modern day slaves. You know, I agree. They should remove it. That's fine. Every other country does it. And it could stop, you know, espionage and bad shit from other countries doing, you know, trying to implement their stuff in here. But I think everyone here should get citizenship if they're going to revoke it from being implemented further on. You know, that's my point.
But that's
literally what I said. Yep. The thing is that, again, Trump is a scammer. He can immediately see a scam. Yeah, it's an obvious fucking scam.
Go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason.
Someone in his chat said saves us money too. Brother, there's billions of dollars from immigrants that are paying taxes. We'd fucking lose money.
It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other...
How the fuck did that even happen in the first place? It's so ridiculous.
Priorities of the American...
You know, the thing about transgenders, it's fine, you know? It's like, dude, let people do whatever the fuck they want. Now, there's some people who ruined it, you know, who go to bathrooms where they're not supposed to, and there's, like, kids and shit like that. That shouldn't have been allowed. Either they get us, like, a special bathroom or, you know, too bad, dude, you know?
American
Sports
people.
Too.
Thank God.
We have so many of them.
Holy
I have a whole list.
shit.
I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important...
I love my LGBTQ community, though. I'll say that. I have a lot of gay friends. I know a lot of gay people. I'm not any friends with transgenders, strictly seen, you know, because I don't live in the city. I bet I would. I don't have a problem with it. There's a lot of people who do push it, like it's, you know, they shouldn't be pushing it. But just because there's a couple rotten eggs doesn't mean the whole fucking community should be punished for it. It's bullshit.
Important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank again the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant. And they should be very proud, and our country should be very proud of the Supreme Court today. And with that, I'd like you to listen to the words of Pam Bondi. She's an incredible Attorney General. We're very proud of her. And as you know,
Except for the Epstein
is with
files.
us, and we have
Not so
so
much
many
with
others
those.
that worked on
I
this
guess the
case and
Epstein
other
files.
cases. And I think they're doing a great job. Pam, please say a few words.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for fighting for all Americans. Americans are finally getting what they voted for. No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies across the entire nation. No longer.
Obvious fucking export.
Today, in the 6-3 opinion, Justice Barrett correctly holds that the district court lacks authority to enter nationwide or universal injunctions. These lawless injunctions gave relief to everyone in the world instead of the parties before the court. As the Supreme Court held today, they turned district courts into the imperial judiciary. Active liberal judges have used these injunctions to block virtually all of President Trump's policies. To put this in perspective, there are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions.
That seems a little bit problematic, you know what I mean? Seems a little bit undemocratic.
Yeah, I guess
think about that. 94 districts and 35 out of the 40 opinions.
But also, is it like the Republican, you know, isn't it to like put the power into the hands of the people? Like they'll put it to states to vote on their own shit, you know? So now they're like trying to fucking put it towards the government. That's kind of confusing, but...
With nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country. No
Remember
longer.
what I always said?
No longer. These injunctions have blocked our policies from tariffs to military readiness to immigration to foreign affairs, fraud, abuse, and many other issues. The judges have tried to seize the executive branch's power, and they cannot do that. No longer. No longer. And on immigration, on a side note, today marks 2,711 arrests on these terrorists and these gangs. Total arrest today with HSI investigations. And thank you, Stephen Miller. Thank you to Homeland Security. Thank you to everyone working hand in hand with the FBI on all of these transnational gangs. TDA has been a huge terror to our country, as well as MS-13, as well as Sinaloa cartels.
Stephen Miller?
No longer.
That guy didn't fuck around.
No longer. These injunctions have allowed district court judges to be emperors. They vetoed all of President Trump's power, and they cannot do that. This has been a bipartisan problem that has lasted 5 presidential terms, 5 different presidents. And it has ended
What's
today.
crazy, too, about this is that it happened right now, which means that they have 3 years to just go absolutely fucking hog wild. 3 years of them just being able to post
Supreme Court has to vote
the fuck they want.
This guy doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
We will continue to fight for President Trump's policies. I want to thank the Office of White House Counsel, Dave Warrington. You and your staff have been incredible. Our Solicitor General's office, John Sauer, Sarah Harris, and Todd Blanche and Emil Bovey. Todd's going to say a few words because we've had another major ruling today on transgender books and some other great wins that we've had. But no
transgender books? What the fuck is wrong? Like, we have homeless veterans and people are thinking about transgender. Who the fuck is doing this?
No longer will they have
That's
the
fine.
power in our
as long
country.
as they don't
It
put
is
it in
the
elementary
president's
schools.
authority
You know?
under his
How does this
executive
happen?
branch to do everything to fight for the American people, and he will continue to do that. That's why he was overwhelmingly elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Today's a great day for the rule of law. It's a great day for the Justice Department, and it's one that's been a long time coming, and one that every American should have been waiting for with bated breath. And so I echo what the President said and Attorney General Bondi, that the Supreme Court did a great thing today, not only for this administration.
It's rage bait. They make mountains out of molehills. No, the transgender ideology stuff is not a mountain out of a molehill. It's basically a molehill that people are just fixated on. I know that it's a very small issue, but I would view it in the same way as I view flat Earth. The reality is that if I knew somebody believed in flat Earth, that would completely disqualify them, in my mind, from being a decision maker for anything else, because their decision-making faculties have been compromised. And I think transgender is another good example of that, especially whenever it comes to minors and it comes to sports.
Agreed.
What it really is it's a benchmark of this person is this delusional that they think this thing.
You know, this kind of stuff is why I would, listen to AsmonGold. Like, he has some points. He has some really fucked up points, but he puts, like, really good points that everyone agrees with, Like, he'll, like, throw these little points that everyone agrees with, and then he'll throw these big-ass fucking points that are fucking brain dead.
Far removed from reality, that it provides a frame of reference that this person cannot be allowed to
Dude, I'm sure like 99% of the fucking people agree with this shit. He's just repeating it, just value, to put value into his other points, just to put some credibility behind his words.
Operate and be expected to operate as a rational actor. It's illogical. It's completely illogical. That's the reason why the transgender issue matters so much. It's like people who believe the Earth is 6,000 years old, or people that believe it's flat, or people that...
It does matter because it got bad because there was a couple of rotten eggs, you know? For all we know, it could have been fucking sabotage, you know? You know, people could have fucking paid off someone to do these horrendous things and then just fucking implemented there, you know?
That believe that there's like lizards.
Not the whole community should be fucking punished for things like that, you know?
Living in the center of the earth, and they're the ones controlling everybody here. Like, these ideals are just so batshit crazy stupid that they provide a frame of reference that disqualifies that type of a person from having the opinion on anything else.
Or every American in this country. If not for the injunctions case, we would be here talking about another great decision that came down today, the trans books case, which restores parents' rights to decide their child's education. Seems like a basic idea, but it took the Supreme Court to set the record straight, and we thank them for that.
That's when the left
and now
went to
that ruling allows parents to opt out of dangerous trans ideology and make the decisions for their children that they believe is correct. And so we think
they should not be teaching transgenderism in anything other than maybe the last year of high school. Children should not be getting exposed to transgender ideology.
I disagree with that. It should be high school.
The reason why is because it creates a false dichotomy. If gender is truly a spectrum, then why is every person who doesn't immediately completely identify with their gender that they were born with, why is it that the only solution to that is being trans? Like, we used to have tomboys, we have femboys. There's a lot of people on the spectrum of gender.
AsmonGold, it's because people were shunned upon. You know, it's the same thing with gay people. I'm sure there's a lot of gay people that couldn't express themselves or do what they wanted because they were pushed into this corner. And I mean, you know, like, yeah, there's fucked up things that happen. I can agree with that. But I mean, you can't just put that upon everyone.
Being trans is very different than being a masculine female or being a feminine male.
And then you just contradict your whole point. You say one thing and then you say the fucking opposite.
Maybe. What is it here? Why is it an issue? You think every person born in America had legal parents so many times should be deported? No, I don't think they should apply it retroactively. I get that you're getting your feelings hurt about this. It's both society.
I agree with this point, but let's just see how he talks to his fucking chat, right?
Don't decide with this. But yeah, no, I mean, if your parents came over here illegally, they should have deported. They should have deported your parents, and you shouldn't have gotten citizenship. Like, obviously, like, it already happened, so it's hard to, like, like, revoking citizenship is something I feel like would be very problematic, especially it's like, how are we going to do that? But, like, it should have never happened in the first place.
Yeah, you know, that makes sense. I mean, he has a fair points with that. That's common sense.
And I'm not going to, like, retroactively go back 50 years and punish you because of something that your grandparents did. No. I mean, kids don't have a choice where they're born. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, why would that matter? So the kids don't have a choice, so that means we just have to take every kid, every person that has a kid here? That's stupid. How is that in the best interest of Americans? It's not. It's an emotional argument. It's not worth taking seriously.
And then he fucking just... He's talking to one of his chatters. And then, you know, one of his viewers, and he's just contradicting himself. He's like, oh, fuck your emotions. Yeah, whatever. Who cares about what you have to say? Yo, this kind of fucking people we admire and idolize. These kind of people are getting fucking millions of views. A fucking piece of shit guy who's just telling you that your debate or your argument is just emotionally, so he's not gonna fucking accept it. I mean, he, like, completely contradicts himself, you know?
That there's been multiple decisions over the past several weeks that just show why this injunction, why this nationwide injunction ban had to happen. For example, what I mean by that is local district court judges issuing decisions that are clearly contrary to law just because they don't like the policy of President Trump. And when it gets to the Supreme Court has to correct it. But that takes time. The Attorney General thanked our lawyers, and I'll do it again. Our lawyers are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fight these injunctions and to emergency appeals, emergency stays, going back to the district court judge, asking them to change their view. And so their hard work is really paying off today. But
someone saying compassion is bad? It is whenever it allows you to justify putting people that you are responsible at risk or doing something that works against their best interests. I think that compassion for bad actors is actually cruelty. And so when you're talking about, like, compassion for everybody around the world, you can't really apply that. You can't do that. There's a limit. Yeah, there's no, like, again, it's an emotional argument. It's not worth taking seriously.
You see?
Weaponized empathy is bad. Yeah, don't let people weaponize your empathy against you to make you subvert your own goals.
Yeah,
this is what people love to do. They love to they love to try to emotionally manipulate you into doing something that's against your best interests. Don't let anybody do that.
That's basically what you're fucking doing, right?
Past few weeks, we had a stay of an order that prevented DHS from moving aliens to a third country. We had a stay of an order that stopped the Department of Defense from implementing military readiness, the EO that President Trump signed. We had another stay of an order forcing reinstatement of fired executive branch employees, entirely within the president in Article 2, his right to do. We had a stay of, as you all know, of numerous DOJ cases. And again, every one of those stays requires a tremendous amount of work and effort by the lawyers and parties involved, and they should be doing other work. They should be doing the work that the president and this administration demands and has a right to demand, and not fighting these local judges who don't make decisions based on the law.
You already fucking said that.
They make decisions because they just simply don't agree with the administration's decision about a policy, and that's right.
I think that's a very good point. Is like the entire premise that the judicial branch is completely unbiased is completely untrue. If that was true, then you wouldn't have people that are arguing about which president gets to appoint which judge to the Supreme Court. It obviously is something that matters.
Thank you.
And by the way, these people also love to complain about activist judges whenever Kyle Rittenhouse was declared innocent. Do you remember that? They were really mad that that judge was biased. So, I mean, there's precedent for this with everybody.
Any questions?
Again, something that is a fair point, just trickle down on these fucking horrible points.
Pam, please.
Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Attorney General. So, as you know, the Supreme Court did not rule on the underlying constitutionality of the President's birthright citizenship order. So, what is the plan now? Are you going to try to implement the EO just in states where there isn't a legal challenge?
Yes, so birthright citizenship will be decided in October in the next session by the Supreme Court, unless it comes down in the next few minutes. I guess it could come down. I think they're still deliberating right now on some cases. As you heard, we just got transgender books, which is a huge win.
You know, that's like far right and then far left in the same sentence.
But most likely, that will be decided in October in the next session. However, it indirectly impacts us because, as you correctly pointed out, if there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire.
Like I was saying. So, you know, Colorado, Washington, anything like that. People from Oregon or Texas can just move up, have their kids there, and it'll be fine.
Entire country. So, yes, it's indirectly, but that's pending litigation, and we're waiting on that in the next term.
So, you know, if you have Hispanic parents and they're about to have kids, tell them, educate them.
Concerned are you that the Supreme Court will come back?
Unless they're fucking drug traffickers or you think that they're not responsible. Don't tell them. They should probably not be here.
And determine that the executive order is unconstitutional.
Oh, we're very confident in the Supreme Court. But again, it's pending litigation, and that will directly be determined in October, but it indirectly impacts every case in this country, and we're thrilled with their decision today. Peter.
Madam Attorney General, thank you for being here to take our questions. A couple questions to the both of you. The EO has a 30-day grace period before it goes into effect. Is there any thought about trying to make it effective immediately within that period of time?
We're going to follow the law.
There's no reason to do that. If they've got the border closed already, the people can't even come in and take advantage of the 30-day grace period, so it's not even a problem. And the people that do, it'll be like 12 people that do it. It won't even matter.
We're going to make those decisions, and we're going to do what's right in the balance.
Yeah, I'm just being honest.
And the DOJ didn't ask the justices to rule on the merits of the birthright citizenship ban. Just for explanation purposes, why?
Sure, because that's going to come down in October in the separate. This was huge because it's indirectly impacted today. As I said, it's case by case. Let me reiterate: of the 35 of the 40 nationwide injunctions filed against this president, against his executive authority as president of the United States, 35 of them came from Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts, California, Washington. I mean, that's crazy.
Those are places where you could still have kids that are born right citizenship. I don't know, that shit, it's like it's an amendment, you know. We're kind of getting touchy with kind of our rights as Americans, which is kind of crazy.
I could easily expect that. So out of all 40 of them, 35 came from 5 out of 94. What a total fucking power imbalance. That's crazy.
these 5 districts. So yes, it indirectly impacts us. It will be a separate decision in October. Next question.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question for you, sir. Do you believe this ends the power of the lower court judges to stop your agenda? Do you see this as a full green light for your agenda going forward?
Well, you'd have to really speak to the lawyers about that. But this is really also a decision based on common sense. It didn't work the other way. It was a disaster where somebody from a certain location in a very liberal state
Trump
or a liberal
is live soon? Is that true? No, this is something different.
Judge or a liberal group of judges could tie up a whole country for years because their decision would sometimes take years to overturn. We've overturned many of the decisions, but it would take years to do it. And we have to act quickly when it comes to illegal immigration. We have murderers, killers, we have drug dealers, we have what they've allowed to come into our country. Should never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten what they've done to our country, and we have to be able to act very quickly, and we're going to do that. Thank you.
Just Tony Barrett, sir, I know that you praised her and her opinion here in this case. She has taken some heat, though, from some of your supporters who have labeled her weak, a squishy, a rattled law professor. What is your take on that?
I don't know about that.
Damn, bro, everyone's fucking crazy.
I love how like she just basically puts out a bunch of these like insults that like she got from Twitter, and she's like says to the president, "Well, do you agree that she sucks?"
And her decision was brilliantly written today, from all accounts. Yeah.
President, what would you say to Americans who fear that this is more and more concentration of power in the White House and the executive?
Well, people voted for that in the White House. Logically, your argument makes perfect sense. Maybe try putting yourself in the shoes of someone in that specific scenario. Like an illegal immigrant child with citizenship may be difficult. Well, if they already have citizenship, I don't want to take it away. I just don't want it to happen anymore.
Another fair point.
I don't want to retroactively remove citizenship. I feel like that would be... like, where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at under 18? Because I feel like 17 is basically the same thing as 18 in terms of, like, somebody being an adult. Like, you could have a job at that point, right? Like, I don't want to go and retroactively get rid of this, but I think you just need to stop, like, turn off the water hose, right? I mean, you're not going to get rid of all the water, but you can at least fucking stop the spread of it. Yeah, you can't do it retroactively. Of course, I understand why people would be worried, but yeah, there's no way they're going to do it retroactively anyway. It's impossible. Like, logistically, it's impossible.
Constitution. This is what it's all about, and this is really the opposite of that. I mean, the question is fine, but it's the opposite. The Constitution
Alligator,
has been brought back.
Oh yeah, remind me of that.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Illegal crossings in the border are 0 now.
0.
Yeah, see, that's the reason why it doesn't matter if it takes 30 days.
I don't know
because there's not going to be a bunch of people coming in having this be a problem in the first place.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Trump 2028.
Do you intend, President Trump?
Who's that guy? I like him. He's working the cameras.
This is new reality.
Oh my fucking god. Even the camera guy is doing that? Wow.
President Trump in the border. Do you intend to engage personally with leaders from South America, not only Central America, in order to tackle this situation in a different way? And if you have a prospection of meeting some presidents from South America, as Brazil, for example?
As an example, not South America, but NATO over the weekend. They have great respect for our country now. They did things that nobody thought was possible. They took funding from 2% to 5%. Nobody thought they'd ever pay the 2%, and now they're paying the 5%.
Tariffs were pretty good, you know, it's fine. We're going to get a little fucked.
Nobody thought that could happen. That's a different
especially the
group of people,
working
different
class.
countries.
Working class
but we get along with a lot of countries. We are respected again. Our country, the U.S., is respected again. Was not respected 6 months ago.
I guess that's right.
Mr. President, you have a deadline coming up on trade in 2 weeks. Which countries, if any, on trade, on tariffs, sir, which countries, if any, are close to agreements with the administration?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've made a deal with China. We've made a deal with...
You made a trade deal with China. Oh, boy.
Probably 4 or 5 different countries. With the UK, it was a great deal for both.
Right.
And we're in the process of making some others. But ultimately, in fact, Scott is here, and Howard Lutnick, these 2 guys have been doing an incredible job, and the people that work with them have been doing an incredible job.
Yep.
But, you know, we have 200 countries. You could say 200 countries plus. You can't do that. So at a certain point over the next week and a half or so, or maybe before, we're going to send out a letter. We talked to many of the countries, and we're just going to tell them what they have to pay to do business in the United States. It's going to go very quickly. But some of the bigger countries, so India, I think we're going to reach a deal where we have the right to go in and trade. Right now, it's restricted. You can't walk in there. You can't even think about it. We're looking to get a full trade barrier dropping, which is unthinkable. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but as of this moment, we've agreed to that, go into Indian trade. We're going to be trading in China. That's going to come a little bit down the road, but we're going to be trading in China. We have a lot of great things going, and we're getting along with countries, but some will be disappointed.
Isn't it crazy? Like, I feel like, I don't know, it seems like the tariffs kind of worked.
because they're going to have to pay tariffs.
Yeah.
And we've taken in already hundreds of billions of dollars in
Well,
tariffs.
we'll see.
No inflation.
We'll see.
The only problem we have is we have a
We'll
Fed guy
pay
that doesn't understand what's happening, and it would be great if he'd lower the rate because we'd be able to borrow a lot cheaper.
I agree with that, you know. We should be able to agree a
This is
little.
such a big subject. You know what? Trade
cheaper
is
than
so big,
interest
but
rates.
this,
Yeah.
I don't know, in a certain way,
I
this
mean,
might be bigger than trade.
You probably know more than we do.
I think this is bigger than
Picks
trade.
up
Yes,
or
please, go
I
ahead.
was wondering, though, if you could...
Go ahead.
Sir, on transgender ruling, the Supreme Court ruling that parents with religious objections can pull their kids out of public school lessons that use LGBTQ.
I disagree with that. I don't think that it should be for a religious reason. I think that a parent okay, so I disagree with this in two ways. Number one, I disagree with this because it should not even be taught in the first place.
True.
Number two, I disagree with this because I don't think that religion gives you a unique ability to not listen to something. I think any parent should be able to say that my kid shouldn't learn this. You shouldn't, like, religion is not a magic get out of jail free card. If this doesn't align with your ideology, then your kid shouldn't have to learn it. You shouldn't need a religion to say no. I agree with the principle, but you guys can see clearly what the difference is that I'm talking about.
Materials.
It's a great step.
Yeah,
just as precedent, it's a great step. I'm happy to see it, but I'm bringing up my point of view, and I think a lot of you guys agree with what I'm saying.
The ruling was a great ruling, and I think it's a great ruling for parents. It's really a ruling for parents. They lost control of the schools. They lost control of their child, and this is a tremendous victory for parents.
Can't they
I'm not surprised
do that
by it,
right
but
now?
I am surprised that it went
I'm
this
kind of
far.
confused.
It took
I
us
am too. It was such a huge miscalculation to try to push trans stuff to kids. Massive miscalculation. I think it alienated a lot of people away from LGBT. And I think, honestly, the entire idea of LGBT
and it shouldn't be...
and being transsexual, it shouldn't be involved with LGBT.
Okay. What the fuck is he even rambling about? That shit doesn't make sense. I agree, you know. They went too far. But the whole fucking... The whole group of people shouldn't be fucking, you know, looked upon down because a couple of people did fucked up things.
Being transsexual is how you see yourself. Being gay, lesbian, or bisexual is how you see other people. One of them is a sexual orientation. The other one is a gender identity. These are two very different things, and they should have never been combined in the first place.
True.
It's illogical. It doesn't make any sense.
Bring life back to normal. So it's wonderful. It's parental. And I kept saying, we will give you back your parental rights. They were taken away, and this is a tremendous victory for parents. Yeah.
Mr. President, if you look at back at the last week, it's been extraordinary in terms of the action in the Middle East. We were at The Hague.
Yeah, hell of a week, hasn't it?
I'm wondering now if you... Action in the Middle East. We were at The Hague.
Hell of a week, hasn't it?
I'm wondering now...
It's been a crazy week. He's right.
It's been a crazy couple of fucking months, dude.
If you believe that Iran, I'm wondering now, sir, if you believe that Iran has given up its long history of ambitions with nuclear weapons, or what you would like to see from them to prove that they do, and what type of meetings is your administration looking for next week with Iran?
So Iran wants to meet. As you know, their sites were obliterated. They're very evil nuclear sites. They were now has been proven. We had some fake news for a little while. The same people.
Sure did. Sure fucking did. People rooting for the terrorist supporting Iranian government. Insane.
That covered the Hunter Biden laptop was from Russia. The same people that did 3 or 4 other Russia hoax. No, wait, just listen. They came up with something that delayed the credit to our great pilots and these great American. I mean, what talent that was, and they hit it right down in the spot. 52,000 feet. Think of this dark, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And they hit the refrigerator door, as they say. That's the size of a target, and overwhelmingly. And it's amazing what was done.
He's good at explaining
the only
things.
ones that could have done it. And we took out the 2 of the other sites also. In addition to that, we finished them all.
The only ones that could have done
it. I believe that, and again, time will tell, but I don't believe that they're going to go back into nuclear anytime soon. They spent over $1 trillion on nuclear.
Of course they're not going to. Everybody who was advocating for it is dead, and they blew up the sites, and everything's destroyed after they invested probably hundreds of millions of dollars into it. And it's like, if Trump bombed them once, he's obviously going to do it again. So why would they do it? Now, they might do it if we get a Democrat president or a president that doesn't have the same type of, it's not as definitive as Trump. Then, yeah, you might see them try to rebuild after that. But they're probably not going to be rebuilding anytime soon. I wouldn't expect that at all.
Never got it together, and nothing was moved from the site, by the way. To do that is very dangerous. It's very, very heavy material.
But Donald, didn't you see the satellite photos that were on Twitter? Wait a minute. Well, what about all the trucks? Donald, didn't you see this thing that was on the satellite photo that's publicly being circulated? Like, doesn't this disprove the Mossad and the CIA's intelligence briefings?
Cars were most likely the cars of Masons because they were pouring concrete at the top, at the hatch. As you know, the hatch going into the nuclear site, they wanted to reinforce it, and they had some Masons there pouring concrete. By the way, that concrete was obliterated. It hit exactly at the concrete. It was, I don't think it had a chance to dry, but everything's down there. It's under millions of tons of rock. Please. Yes.
Your administration has said that El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the hemisphere.
It is.
So why haven't you yet canceled temporary protected status for that country? Was it part of the deal?
Well, we'll take a look. We've had a great relationship with El Salvador. They have a fantastic leader.
They're great.
They built a massive prison system.
Isn't it crazy how much all the problems go away whenever you just put all the people that cause problems in jail?
Yeah, it's also crazy when we fucking put people that don't deserve to go to the fucking prison, huh? That's crazy too.
That's crazy, right?
I mean, imagine we just fucking threw AsmonGold in there for no apparent reason. Just saying, oh, we think he's gang affiliated because he has 2 tattoos.
It just worked that well.
Just strip your fucking human rights, right? I
And
agree for the most
I don't
part,
know
but
exactly why, but it's a hell of a system. And we bring
there is a huge problem in education. I feel sorry for your lack of criticism. Very few good news in the future. Yeah, we do have a problem with education, and one of those problems is that we're teaching kids about transgenderism instead of understanding science or world.
AsmonGold, you're kind of fucking rambling off again. The problem with education is that it has not been updated. It's been the same for a long ass time, and it was a problem before, all this transgender and all that stuff came out. You would know because you can't fucking count more than 10 countries, but we'll keep going.
War II. Or understanding AI. We should be teaching kids technology. We should be making them and preparing them.
It's like I said, updating the system.
For a kid to understand transgenderism or accounting.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, you just trickles out all the
When
shit.
they have to go there, they become very nice people. It's a tough system, but
yeah, he just puts all these fucking good points around all these fucking dumb points. All these massive dumb points.
But it's a brilliant system, and it's a system done by a very, very good.
By the way,
we'll talk.
By the way, I am affecting the speed because, Jesus, these guys talk slow sometimes. So.
About El Salvador, a lot of respect.
I already watched it too.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. A question for you, and then a question for the Attorney General. As you go into negotiations and talks with Iran, are you demanding not only that there would be no uranium production inside of Iran, but also that Iran would turn over all existing stockpiles of uranium?
Well, we're a little early for that, but something like that, yeah, we'll do something like that. Let me say that I've been saying for 25 years, even as a civilian,
too much shit's going
you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon, and that's what happened. It's been obliterated. It would be years before they could ever get going, and I really think it's probably the last thing. They have to recover from a hell of a tough war.
Would you also be demanding that the IAEA have full rights to inspect in Iran?
Or somebody, or somebody that we respect, including ourselves.
And a question for both the President and the Attorney General. Under birthright citizenship, if this is implemented, who would be tasked with actually vetting citizenship? And how, would this be a situation where you have nurses and doctors checking for citizenship of parents? Or?
This is all pending litigation. It's going to be decided in October by the Supreme Court, and we'll
you have to have on the birth certificate who the parents are, and if one of the parents is a citizen, then it would go into how is this even a conversation? Any basic database would be able to immediately.
Because, AsmonGold, this is a fucking amendment. This is kids that were born here, that didn't have a choice or right, that were just spawned here with rules that now all of a sudden are being overturned. It's a fucking amendment.
Immediately aggregate this without even a second. Yeah, it would be instantaneous.
That after the litigation.
If you have an undocumented baby, would that baby then be an enforcement priority?
The violent criminals in our country are the priority now. Let me put it in perspective. Today,
that's what they fucking said. That's where they got the Hispanic vote. They said that they were gonna take away all the fucking criminals and bad people, but then they started fucking deporting everyone. People who weren't criminals.
The 2,711th arrest in our country of TDA members, just TDA. Everyone in this
room. How did they have 2,000 members in America? That's insane.
Agrees. They are one of the most violent criminal organizations in the world. And the Biden administration let them walk into our country for the last 4 years. 2,711 of them today have been arrested in our country. That is the priority of Donald Trump. That is the priority of this country, of Homeland Security, of all of our lawyers.
The term TDA can mean different things depending on the context. Here are the most common meanings. Tax-deferred accounts. TDA is a tax-deferred annuity or tax-deferred account. Let's see. Transportation Development Act. Yeah, literally. Let me search up in government lingo. Tax-deferred account or tax-deferred annuity. Retirement savings plan. Okay, a 401k.
of FBI. That's the priority. That will be discussed in October when the Supreme Court hopefully rules in our favor, and we're very confident of that. But you should all feel safer now that President Trump can deport all of these gangs and not one.
How about a fake parency issue? This can be sold as a service.
I completely agree. You know, gangs and criminals should be deported. Completely agree.
Yeah, I'm sure there's always going to be exploits and people trying to take advantage of a system, but just because there's people taking advantage of it.
Yeah, AsmonGold, everyone fucking takes care of the system. A lot of people take care of the system. You fucking take care of... You fucking do it, all right? You know, what? You're telling me that you make a YouTube video and then you tax defer it? That's fucking taking advantage of the system, you fucking scum.
The system doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to make a good faith effort in order to make the system fair and equitable and work properly. Like, every system is manipulated and gamed in different ways.
Yeah, like when you take a fucking private jet to an event and then you tax defer because you say it's career-wise.
District court judge can think they're an emperor over this administration and his executive powers and why the people of the United States elected him.
I just might add one thing, and you know, they used birthright citizenship, some of the worst people, some of the cartels, to get people into our country, just so you know. And again, I say, if you look at the end of this...
And also people that were escaping those cartels.
Civil War, the 1800s, it was a very turbulent time. If you take the end day, was it 1869 or whatever? But you take that exact day, that's when the case was filed.
Yeah.
And the case ended shortly thereafter. This has to do with the babies of slaves, very, very obviously. And I think we're going to win. People didn't, I don't think they went about discussing it right. I came along and we looked and we said, wait a minute, this is wrong. We've been looking at birthright citizenship wrong for years, but they've used it. The cartels have used birthright citizenship.
It's shocking that this was even a conversation ever.
To get very bad people in, and what Pam's doing and what Todd and everybody else, what they're doing at DOJ and all over, FBI, ICE, Border Patrol. These are incredible people. They're trying to keep our country safe, and they don't want to have people come in. This is just another way that they get illegal immigrants into our...
So they need to stop responding to the questions about deportations with, quote, violent criminals are the priority. Stop avoiding the question. How hard is it to say the baby or child will be deported alongside the parent, and separation will no longer be a concern? I agree with you, by the way. I completely agree with you. I think just lay it out there. Say, yeah, we don't give a fuck if we're going to deport the kid. That's what's going to happen. That's what I support. That's what I think they should do.
Yeah, now he fucking completely fucking goes back on whatever he said, you know? He contradicts himself fully, you know? He sees his fucking chat. He sees how tempered they are. He fucking throws them away, you know, disregards their feelings. The people that watch him, you know, people that are fans of him. And then he just fucking says, "Oh, let me soft blow it. They shouldn't be deported." And now he's fucking completely disregarding that and fucking contradicting himself. How is this piece of fucking human being shit even popular, bro? At this point, he's just a fucking Nazi at this point, dude. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to call him a Nazi, but you know, he's just talking out of his fucking ass at this point.
And I think that pussyfooting around it only emboldens these people to try to use more emotional.
And now we're using these people again, huh? We're going back to those times.
Control. It's bad optics. The optics of it don't matter. And I think also the entire idea of optics is
optics
something
don't
that
matter.
The people that care about optics are usually the ones that can manipulate them. So,
or maybe the people who stumbled looking for a fucking dream, found it here, enslaved their whole lives to bring their future generations wealth from hard work. You know, we're just going to fully disregard that.
The entire idea like this is some kind of unpopular opinion is crazy. It's not.
It is a fucking unpopular opinion, Asmon, because you went back on it. You fully didn't touch base on it, and now you're full-blown gasket just going off on it.
Not even an unpopular opinion. You can't be nice about it? You need at least a parent in orphanage? Yeah, sure, right? People looking at the optics.
Yeah, let's just fucking put people, you know, let's just put the kids in orphanages, you know? Let's just let them grow up in a system where it clearly doesn't work, or they're left behind, where they're starving. Yeah, that's fine, you know? Let's put them in fucking cages and give them blankets made out of aluminum, you know?
Are the literal loophole these motherfuckers are waiting for? The question was about priority, though. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's more of a priority to deport a gang member than a 5-year-old. But, like, in general, you know, they shouldn't be here.
Of course.
I mean, it's that simple. I don't understand. Like, it's all, you know, again, it's all just emotional manipulation and emotional blackmail. The reality is that in any other instance where a parent commits a crime, they're separated from their child in order to be punished from that crime. So to act like this is some kind of unique evil is ridiculous. If you...
Okay, how are you gonna compare someone looking for the American dream, enslaving themselves to clean your fucking toilet, Asmon, to someone who is drug overdosing, keeping drugs around their kids, and then being separated? Are you a fucking moron, dude? Are you a fucking idiot?
You kill somebody, and you go to jail, the kid doesn't go to jail with you. That's it. I mean, it's the USA is trying so hard to play optics instead of caring. Yeah.
Into our country, and in some cases, very, very bad ones. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your tax bill, if I could for a moment, senators are racing to rewrite parts of it right now after the Senate parliamentarian ruled that sections of it were outside of the process that they're using to get.
You know what? We're just gonna end it here. I've already said my piece. You guys already seen this piece of shit. I don't know what else to say. You know, fucking, you guys know AsmonGold. If you're fans of him, you probably still are. But if you're on the edge, let me tell you, I was a fan too. You know, I would have voted for Trump. I wasn't here. I went on vacation. I would have voted up for Trump. I do love Trump. Talks a lot of shit. I'll be honest. The left went to left, and now the right is going to right. That's just how it is. We need to meet in the middle. This shit's getting out of hand. AsmonGold, he connected a lot of people because they were fighting for freedom of speech. And now we're taking away amendments. You're protecting amendments, and now you're trying to take them away. I mean, it's fine. My point is, okay, they should remove, birthright citizenship. But if they do, everyone here should have the rights of having citizenship if they don't have a criminal record, of course. Yeah, that's my whole point. AsmonGold is a fucking idiot now. If you listen to him, I saw his comments. Let's watch his comments real quick, because they're fucking aggressive, dude. Let's ignore what I said. I basically said I'm okay with birthrights being citizenship to end only if everyone already here gets citizenship. This country passed this amendment for slaves and immigrants or current modern day slaves. Everyone who is racist and brain-rotted far-right people can go cry, because I know your kids and family don't love you. Okay, let's see. And I got a reply. Oh my god, what a ridiculous comment. Okay, dude. Let's check your profile. Okay, we got bots. We got fucking bots.
Emotionally black.
Of course, with no criminal record. I forgot to mention that. As a black American veteran who has been to 40 countries, I can tell you firsthand that many other nations have far more draconian immigration laws. Many folks have no idea. U.S. immigration policies have historically been disproportionately lenient compared to other countries. This is a win for us. Okay, I agree. But we got Uncle Ruckus over here, right? Imagine if they said that during the slave days. You would be fully opposed on that. When people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. Seeing devs finally patching a century-old exploit is a major W. Okay, that one's pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. Let me move my webcam over here. Every single objection boils down to this. It's bad. Why? It hurts my feelings. I've seen people come here, have a baby, and expect the kid to grow up to eventually help them gain citizenship. They literally use their kids as some kind of investment to make them getting into the U.S. so much easier. It's messed up. It's not messed up. That's the American dream. That's the laws, right? Okay, yeah, Tom Hallman already answered this question. They can all be deported together, no separation required. Shame on you, buddy. I hope your kids never see that comment. Dude, the hate that this shit is pushing out, bro, it's infuriating. It's pissing me off, to be honest. I can't wait to see what Hassan has to say about this. I don't listen to Hassan that much, but I do, because he's a complete opposite of AsmonGold. He's completely far to the left. AsmonGold is completely far to the right. Hassan's kind of going slowly towards the center, which I kind of appreciate. Let's go. It's about the time somebody read and accurately applied the law. This is a terrible day for Hassan. Not only did his friends get sued by Trump, but Trump is taking so many W's, and Hassan is chilling, and Techtron got 1 million subscribers. Parents shouldn't have to explain to some stranger why they don't want their kids indoctrinated. Religion is part of that. Yeah, okay. If birthright citizenship is ruled on, this is quite possibly the most important cultural event since the 9/11. Okay, well, I guess catching Osama bin Laden was not important. I honestly don't even care what else happens over the next 3.5 years. This day alone has my vote worth it. This day alone makes my vote worth it. Well, you guys can kind of see what he's kind of pushing out there. He's kind of making everyone on the right for right, and all his audience pushing them. Just the fucking love, brother. Like, it's crazy how we're pushing hatred nowadays. It's I don't know, dude. Comment down below, if you're racist. Comment down below too. I'd love to see you angry. But I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace out and much love. By the way, for all the racist people that are gonna say this is a fucking gang sign, it's a heart, dude. Okay, maybe learn how to love. All right, catch you guys all later. Peace out.